معالي السيد الرئيس
Your Excellency, Mr. Volkan Bozkır, President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to introduce the pre-recorded statement of His Excellency Mr. Mahmoud Abbas, President of the State of Palestine, at the General Debate of the 75th Session of the General Assembly. Thank you, Mr. President.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Your Excellency, Mr. Volkan Bozkır, President of the General Assembly, Your Excellency, Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, distinguished delegates, peace be upon you. While preparing my speech, I kept wondering what more I could say. After all that I've said on countless occasions, what more could I say about the suffering of my people, the misery they experience every day while the world stands by watching, and their long overdue legitimate aspirations to live in freedom, independence, and dignity, just like the rest of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, how long do we have to wait until there is a just solution to the Palestinian question, a solution guaranteed by international law? How long will the Palestinian people continue to languish under the yoke of Israeli occupation? How long do we have to wait until there is a just solution to the status of millions of Palestinian refugees, in line with the relevant UN resolutions adopted 70 years ago? Ladies and gentlemen, the Palestinian people have lived in their homeland, Palestine, the land of their fathers and grandfathers, for 6,000 years. They will remain in this land, and they will stand up to occupation, aggression, and betrayal until they gain their rights, in spite of the difficulties and in spite of the unjust blockade that aims to undermine them. We will not bow down. We will not surrender. We will not compromise, and we shall triumph. Ladies and gentlemen, we have agreed to international mediation despite the historic injustice we have seen since 1917, which has left us with nothing except the territories that were occupied in 1967. However, Israel, the occupying power, with the support of the current U.S. administration, has decided to do away with such mediation in favor of the so-called deal of the century. Under the deal, Israel plans to annex 33% of the territories of the State of Palestine, as well as occupied East Jerusalem, including Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We and the whole world have rejected such plans, which run counter to all international resolutions that recognized the State of Palestine in 2012 as a member of the international community. We have always been in favor of a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace. We have accepted all the initiatives proposed. I personally have dedicated my life to the cause of peace. Since 1988, up to the Madrid Conference and the Oslo Accords in 1993, And to this day, we have agreed, we have committed to the Arab Peace Initiative, which guarantees security, peace, and coexistence after the end of the occupation. We have done that for the sake of peace. What has Israel done in return? Israel has reneged on all of the agreements it signed and has undermined the two-state solution through its aggression. It has killed and arrested people, demolished homes, and stifled the economy. It has sought to systematically alter the character and identity of occupied Jerusalem and has desecrated its Christian and Muslim holy sites, especially Al-Aqsa Mosque. It has continued its settlement expansion on our land and has disregarded the Arab Peace Initiative. And through its unilateral and reckless actions, it is destroying the last chance for peace. And to top it all off, Israel, the UAE, and Bahrain have just signed normalization agreements in violation of the Arab Peace Initiative and the principles of a just and lasting solution under international law. The Palestinian Liberation Organization has never asked anyone to speak or negotiate on behalf of the Palestinian people. The only way to achieve a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in our region is to end the occupation and to ensure the independence of the State of Palestine along the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. In this regard, I call on the Secretary General of the United Nations to start preparations in cooperation with the Quartet and the Security Council for an international conference early next year that brings together all relevant parties. The conference should have full authority to launch a genuine peace process based on international law and relevant terms of reference. It should aim to end the occupation, grant the Palestinian people their freedom and independence in their own state along the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as capital, and to settle all final status issues, notably the refugee question, in line with Resolution 194. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be foolish to think that the Palestinian people could ever accept the occupation or yield to pressure and diktats. It is delusional to think that the Palestinian people could be sidelined. We are the rightful owners of this cause. You should all know that there can be no peace, no security, no stability, or coexistence in our region without an end to the occupation and without a just and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian question, which is at the heart of the conflict. Ladies and gentlemen, Palestinians are a living and creative nation. They are peace lovers and freedom fighters. Despite the occupation, they have managed to build an active and modern society based on democracy and rule of law. They have managed to preserve their national identity despite political and intellectual differences. Against all familiar odds, we are preparing to hold legislative and presidential elections with the full participation of all political parties. We will keep on living. We will continue to hope. We will remain committed to our national unity and democracy in the face of all attempts to deny our existence. We will fight until we regain our rightful place among the nations, and we will exercise all our rights under international law, including our right to resist occupation. We will continue to build our state institutions on the rule of law, and we will continue to fight international terrorism as we have done for years. We will remain faithful to peace, justice, and human and national dignity, no matter the circumstances. In closing, I wish to pay tribute to the great Palestinian people fighting for their freedom and independence, to those killed and wounded and their families, to Jerusalem and its unwavering citizens, to our people in the besieged Gaza Strip, and in refugee camps everywhere, and to all of those countries, nations, and organizations that have stood by us and by our rights. May the peace and blessings of God be with you.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the State of Palestine for the statement just made.
And we have been hear and live the statements of the high-level general debate on the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly. And we will continue to provide live coverage of the UN General Debate throughout the day. For TeleSUR English, I'm Laura Palmeiro. Thank you for watching.